Hey guys, welcome to the Playbook UX channel, your source for all things product and UX. Today, I'll be talking about empathy mapping. Let's jump into it. As a product team, you have a million design decisions to make. In a perfect world, you'll have a massive research budget and can test every single scenario. However, we know that's not reality. We recommend you use UX tools like the Customer Journey Workshop and empathy mapping to guide your decisions. An empathy map is really a tool to understand what the user is thinking, feeling, seeing, hearing, and saying. It's used to visualize and articulate what is currently known about your users and create a shared understanding of their needs to make sure you make better decisions. Prior to creating an empathy map, you should conduct a moderated session, which is sometimes called an empathy interview. This is a one-on-one conversation to understand your users' feelings and motivations. In order to gather your users' feelings, the interview requires a lot of open-ended questions, such as, how does this make you feel? What do you like or dislike about that? Throughout the interview, you'll ask them to elaborate on their answers. In essence, this is an unstructured conversation. An empathy map is often the first step towards making a UX persona, or can be created in conjunction with the persona. An empathy map is used to establish a common ground between members of the product team and prioritize the user's needs. You'll be able to categorize your knowledge of your customers in one place. It will also aid in communicating user needs to stakeholders. Ideally, you can use an empathy map at the start of researching a new product or service. The map will help guide you on what additional research is needed to create a full persona. It should be a quick exercise to understand your users' behaviors and attitudes. Let's jump into how to create an empathy map. The empathy map has 4 quadrants, and you'll want to place a picture of your persona in the middle of it. In the top left quadrant, input what the user says. These are explicit things the user says during the session. In the top right quadrant, input what the user thinks. This is what the persona is thinking throughout their journey. What the user thinks is implicit. This is something the user doesn't say, but you can derive. Maybe you observe that the user finds something annoying by the look on their face, but they're too polite to say it. In the bottom right quadrant, input what the user does. These are the user's actions and explicit things that you notice that they do during the session. Maybe the user is clicking around on the page and they can't find what they're looking for. In the bottom left quadrant, you have the feels. These are the adjectives and explanations. This is implicit and something you can try and gather from the user. For example, maybe the user felt frustrated because they kept receiving an error message. Let's walk through an example. Pretend you work at a company who is creating a product that allows customers to order coffee for pickup at their nearest branch. You sit down to interview one of your customers, Jill, to discuss her daily behaviors. Jill mentions that she's really busy on the day-to-day. She cuts it close in the morning, typically walking in a minute or two late, holding a cup of coffee. Even though she likes her local coffee shop over Starbucks, she'll go to Starbucks every day before work because it's convenient. She likes how Starbucks has an app where you can enter an order and pick it up without waiting in a long line or interacting with people. However, she feels guilty about going to a large corporate coffee store. After conducting the interviews, it can be fun to empathy map with a coworker. Put each of the user's thoughts, feelings, and emotions on a sticky note and arrange them into one of the 4 quadrants. Occasionally, it can be hard to determine which quadrant to put your sticky notes in, but don't overthink it. An item can overlap in multiple categories, so just go with your gut. An empathy map isn't designed to be fully precise. It is better to get everything on paper than to agonize over which category each item belongs to. Quadrants are designed to be guides to push your research and make sure you haven't missed any key aspects of your persona. If you're struggling to complete one of the quadrants, then you most likely need to go back and do more research. You can use any type of qualitative research to guide your empathy map. By sketching out an empathy map, you can determine what aspects of your user you know and what aspects you need to research further. You can create an empathy map based on one user or a group of users. When using a group of users, you will aggregate themes across the group to create your empathy map. It's important to note that empathy maps are not replacements for personas. Remember, people are complex. You may encounter inconsistencies between quadrants. For example, you may see positive actions, yet negative emotions from the same user. As a UX professional, you should investigate the cause of each conflict and resolve it. Once you have created an empathy map, you can then role-play with your empathy map to determine what the person thinks about the feature in question. Would they like this decision? Everyone in the UX world has had to deal with a boss or stakeholder who thinks they know what the customer wants. However, using an empathy map allows you to make educated decisions. As always, make sure to update your empathy map as you conduct more research and learn more about your users. That's all I have for empathy mapping. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel to learn more about product and UX.